So I'm here at David Watson Transport, and I'm with Andrea, who is the training coordinator, training manager, and I've just been talking with Amanda about driver wellbeing and that sort of stuff. A couple of things I want to touch on with you is driver personality styles and that. But before that, perhaps you can give us an insight. I know it's not exactly your role, but you know, how does one keep a big operation like this running successful?
With a lot of hard work, grit and determination. Teamwork's very important. Communication is essential. We're actually very lucky in a lot of the technology that we have enables us to have a kind of 360 view of what everybody's doing. So although you have depot managers at each individual depot, they have a transport management system which is online, which means they can see what all of the trucks are doing. So if a key account manager had a job that needed covering, they might not have a truck that's in the area appropriate to do so, but they can look on the board and see that somebody else at another depot has a truck that's going to be in the area. So,
and you've got national depots. How many have you got altogether?
So 7 depots altogether, ranging from Yorkshire being the highest and Kent being down the bottom, and then everywhere in between, really. And the
software links all of them up.
Yeah, so the software is something that everybody has access to. I mean, drivers don't have access to it, but everybody office space has access to it. So we can all see what jobs people are doing. We also have a telematics system which enables us to monitor where the drivers are. So again, that helps with communication because the depot managers can talk to each other and say, oh, I see you've got a truck heading this way, is there any chance they could cover this job?
And that's, I mean, I know from my experience with the company I work for, having that, because we've got similar, is a big help.
Massive.
If something comes up,
yeah,
you know, you can find out where people are.
Well, it's efficiencies at the end of the day, because, you know, we've got, for example, one of our accreditations is ISO 14001, which is all about the environment. So we're conscious of trying to keep things like emissions low. That also works alongside our FORS accreditation. So we're very mindful of things like emissions and efficiencies and making sure that the trucks are running.
Well, that's so important these days, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
Environment especially. I mean, I think the whole industry is going to go very much that way. I mean, it's actually nearly a year ago that some guys came in and they were testing. They wanted us to sort of trial this electric truck system, and it was all touch screens and central position and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, we're one or two of them were a bit like, really? But I thought, this is really exciting. Yeah. I wasn't so keen on the lower position they were on about, but you know, I've always
that's something that we're not really able to buy into with the type of work that we do, because with specialist haulage, a lot of the kind of alternative fuels and vehicles don't really work for our model. But the other point of having the telematics and the transport management system is to try and make the driver's day less stressful. Because there's no point sending him an extra 50, 100 miles in a day when somebody else could do it in 25. So those systems and that 360
I've
communication.
got plenty of experience of
yes,
that.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. You're trying to keep the drivers happy.
A couple of wasted journeys in a week, and you think, oh my goodness, you know, who's doing this planning system? Who's running this planning system?
So managing that does help.
And how many trucks have you got on the road at any sort of a typical week?
We're at 110. They're not all piloted at the moment, but when the fleet's fully up and running, we'll have 110 fully.
And how many drivers?
We're on about 103, 104-ish. We've only got a few trucks without pilots at the moment, so we're doing pretty well.
And they've got different levels of qualification, I'm guessing, you know.
Yeah.
Because I see you've got different sizes of trucks. You've got Arctics as well as rigids.
So we have a complete mixture of, we've got about 70% of the fleet are HIABs and about 30% are Arctics. We have a mixture of drivers who've got a Class 2 licence or Class 1 licence. We have drivers who we will put through from their Class 2 training up through to Class 1, so they're able to either pull a trailer or drive the Arctics. And then obviously those drivers that are on the HIABs will do the lorry loader and the slinger signaller qualification. We're actually very lucky that we have 2 in-house instructors. Kevin, who's our senior instructor, has been doing it since HIABs were built and invented. And Simon, who's like our newest recruit to the training department to do that kind of training. So we're very lucky that we can do a lot of the training in-house.
So there's a couple of terms there that I think that some of people watching might not know. So what's a HIAB?
A HIAB is a lorry mounted crane, so that enables us to lift loads using a crane on the back of a lorry instead of a mobile crane. So for example, a driver could get to site, extend their stabiliser legs, use their crane to lift up a cabin, container, or whatever it may be, and then transport it. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for transport.
And these are the cranes that are typically sited just behind the cab?
Yeah, you can have front mounts, or we do have a few rear mounts as well. So ALMI, the training that I mentioned, which is in reference to the HIABs, is the Association of Lorry Loader Manufacturers and Importers. Our Health and Safety Director is the chair of that. So we're big supporters of that as a particular accreditation for our drivers. So as I say, we have 2 qualified instructors here. And all of our, where we go to do a site visit or a risk assessment, our appointed persons are under the ALMI qualification as well.
And slinger, what was that?
Slinger signaler is basically how to sling loads safely. So different types of loads require different types of slings and slinging methods. So we have a 1-day course that we're able to deliver to enable the drivers to understand that as well, which we do also offer externally. So we have a mixture, but generally most of our training is in-house for our own internal candidates.
Right. So thinking about your candidates then, candidates and people, you know, that apply, what sort of, are you looking for personality types, or are you looking for people with a certain attitude?
We would
I'm sure you've got all sorts of different personality types across your drivers.
You know, it's naive to say that you don't have a wish list. Everybody has a wish list, and of course it would be wonderful for someone to walk in and they've got all of the qualifications, they've got ALMI, they've got ADR, you know, they've been driving for 20 years and they've got a Class 1 licence and they've done HIABs for 15 years. You know, that would be lovely, but we live in the real world. We're all about giving people a chance. So we really believe in attitude over aptitude, because we've got a great training centre here. We don't need someone to come as a fully polished article because we can get them there. That's what our training school is for. So it's really about, personality is really important actually to us, because as I say, you can mould somebody to become a driver. I mean, there's a young gentleman who came to one of our recruitment open days about 2.5 years ago. Didn't even have an HGV licence, but went and got his HGV licence, came to us, and we did all of his training. So his first ever driving job.
Brilliant.
And he's still driving for us today, and I believe somebody went out of him this morning.
Ah, how long's he been here now?
About 2.5 years.
Right.
Literally went and got his licence, came straight here.
And how old is he?
He is under 30, I believe.
Right, she's young for HGV driver these days. I mean, well, it has been for a long time. I mean, I think ever since I started in HGVs, I mean, I've been driving pretty much, you know, since I could drive, you know, as work. But yeah, there's been, you know, it's been a huge, you know, dwindling population. It's been shortage, and it's been getting older. I mean, I think the average age of an HGV driver has been sitting at something like 55 for something like 15, 20 years.
Time. Yeah.
So I suppose it's quite encouraging then to get some youngsters.
Yeah, no, they're young to me too, don't worry.
You know, I think I can say youngsters. Yeah.
No, it is, and I think we're actually quite lucky that we do have a fair chunk of younger drivers, and it's quite nice to kind of David Watsonise them. You know, as bizarre as that sounds, they've not been anywhere else to learn it another way. We can get them in and we can give them the training, and then they become David Watson drivers. You know, they know our ways of doing things and they haven't picked up bad habits or not saying.
So I expect then it's a bit of a challenge then if you've got somebody who's 20 years in the business, has got qualifications to mould them.
It can be because they've got their ways of doing it. And so, for example, you know, if somebody comes to us with an ALMI licence, we don't know where they've done that training, we'd probably still want to retrain them with our instructor just to make sure everybody's singing from the same hymn sheet.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting point, because I've had various different training courses over the years, and the quality of training can be, you know, I remember even just on CPC, there was one guy I remember, he was so opinionated, it actually clouded the training.
100%,
and I actually said to him at one point, look, your opinions are not what we're here for. We're here for the knowledge, the facts. So the fact that you don't like cycle boxes at traffic lights is neither here nor there. They're there for a reason. And he got the right old hump with me, and but that's a different story. But you know, like I think it's a good example of the quality of training. And then another guy, I remember, he was just telling us, I just felt all he was telling was how brilliant a driver he was when he was a driver.
Yeah,
you know,
get a lot of those.
So yeah,
we're very lucky in that Kevin, specifically our senior instructor, is so qualified, and so we get nothing but good reports. You know, we get a lot of repeat custom, people specifically requesting to have Kevin go back and do their training because he knows his stuff and it comes across so well in the training. He makes everyone feel at ease. He's very confident at communicating it. I can honestly say no one's ever walked out of one of those courses and said it was a waste of time or I didn't learn anything, or even those that know it all, so to speak, have come out with learning something. So that's always nice.
So once you've got them trained and you've David Watsonized them,
Yeah.
how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them enthusiastic?
We check in with them. So we have 4, 8 and 12-week assessments, which we do with the drivers to make sure that they're happy with how they're getting on. And then things like additional training that we offer to the drivers, I think is quite a good incentive, you know. Things like the licence acquisition, going up to a Class 1 licence, you know, that's something that we'll fund for you. All we ask in return is a bit of a commitment from yourself to not just get your licence and go, ta-ta, see you later, which, you know, some people will do. But it's that maintaining qualifications, it's refresher training, it's, you know, we pretty much give the drivers their 35 hours of CPC training through their employment with us. So I think that's quite a benefit, is that continual professional development. There's always the promise of promotion, progression within the company. So a bigger truck, a better truck. You know, if somebody's on the high abs, they want to move to the Arctics, we'll always look into considering that, and if the truck's available, we'll offer them that position. Or they might want to come in the office, which is what so many of our employees have done, is progress from the road to the office, which is hard, has its own challenges, but that seems to work as well. So that's another bit of a carrot that we can dangle for people.
A lot of drivers I've worked with over the years have always thought, oh, I could do that job, you know, do the office job better. You know, who's in planning? They don't know anything. You know, I mean, I think for anyone who's new in the business, something that I think just things I'm picking up on from what you're saying is yeah, get your qualifications, but work with a company that's got continued development. Because I think it does keep a driver enthusiastic. It keeps them passionate about it, and not go stale and not set in the ways.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So thank you for sharing insights today. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, then please put them in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, follow and subscribe.